want to do it like this. We want to do it like this. You know, usually start the night off with a little jammy jam or whatever. Everybody can get grooving in the comments and everything. So we gonna kick it off. And let me welcome y'all to Family Ties. This is a show where we talk about things that plague our families, and we just try to come together and have discussions that will help us to become better family members for each other as well as ourselves. Tonight, man, we got an amazing show. We got an amazing show. Two phenomenal people that, man, like I kid y'all not. After last week's show, we had a talk in here, and man, it just did something great for me, man. I promise y'all to see people apply what they just listened to, you know what I mean, and really put it into work, right? That was totally amazing. So I want y'all to understand that we're here to have the conversation, but it's always going to be up to you whether you choose to take on these ideas, you know what I mean, and these tenets that we learned and we've applied, that will actually has fruit of us being better, you know what I mean, as just as citizens of families, you know what I mean. So I'm not gonna hold up the night. I'm gonna ask my two guests to like really request the box, and hopefully after tonight you'll be feeling a little brand new. Hey, yeah, yeah. Cause my first guest. This fella, I met him a little while ago, man, and he's been a dope individual ever since I met him. None other than the one, the only, Shin the man.
What's up,
Happy to
man?
have you here tonight, man. Happy to have you here tonight, bro. How you feeling?
Pretty good, brother. Pretty good. Relax.
That's
Long
good.
weekend, long week. Great journey.
Awesome, awesome, man. If you would request the box, please, so we can, we can dive in. We can start getting to it. Sean, what's going on with you? Yeah, is that my man Goya? Is that my man Goya up in the building? Okay, not too much, not too much. Yer, I hear you, man. So, man, look, while
What's
she's
up?
getting ready, I'm excited to hear from you after last week's show, man. The commentary that we had afterwards, man. Like for real, how much did that impact you? Like for real.
I mean, it was a great conversation, brother. It was always. I took a lot from it. I had a chance to really, start looking at words and depth and the way we use it and how important it is to talk to somebody and make sure you're on the same page with the terms you're using. You know,
Back.
because even yesterday it was just a matter of saying two different definitions being switched around, and that's huge.
Right. I was just amazed, man, and that's the reason why, like it was just fitting to have y'all to come and be on this episode because you guys like literally you literally applied what you had just heard, and y'all were already into this week's episode already by applying that. So yeah, I greatly appreciated it, and I was actually kind of sitting back and just laughing a little bit because I was like, hmm, this is yeah, this is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Very important. Yeah, but so we got to be cognizant of our words and how we're using them. Um, and again, like even like to understand that the way that you view a word versus the way that somebody else views a word could be two totally different dynamics. It could be because of maybe your background versus their background. It could be anything like along those lines.
Yep.
Oh, and we have our other guest, the one and
Hi.
only Precious.
I
How
gotta
you
speak to
doing,
my
love?
camera.
Oh,
What's
It's
yeah.
up, princess?
hi, Mr. Sheen. Hey, Mr. Wick.
What's
Y'all see
going
me?
on, love? Yeah, I can see you. Look at that. That I love that. I love that. Well, welcome to the show. All right, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you both here. And as I said, you guys, y'all really don't. I don't really think y'all understand how much y'all's conversation after last week's show really helped me, and it gave me more faith in people. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? Because if we're real, we we sometimes lose faith in people because we see like the negative connotations, and rather it be through communication or actions or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we tend to kind of lose a little bit of faith. But the
Right.
way y'all put that together, man, and the way that y'all were able to actually dive into what we're getting ready to talk about this week was beautiful for me to watch. You know what I'm saying? So, ah, all right, y'all, we here. Let's go. So we're talking about conflict resolution, right?
Hmm.
And again, it's so crazy that people have many different ways of resolving different issues. But I want to ask you first, and either one of y'all can take the question. The nature of conflict and its impact on relationships. How do you view the actual nature of conflict? How do you actually view that?
Well, ladies always go first, so my mama always taught me that.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sheen. I think the nature of conflict is nature of conflict is that it's the reality of dealing with adults. I feel like
Mhm.
as an adult, we're prone to conflict because part of us is always going to be different than another person, and in that, it's not conflict resolution to me is kind of a superpower because we as adults are usually conflicting with one another. If you can learn how to master that, you can kind of master the universe. Like
Mhm.
as you maneuver through life and in situations, if you can master conflict resolution, you can probably control whatever room that you're in.
Okay.
Good.
Um,
Chat.
Personally, for me, I would say that I think conflict is, like she said, inevitable. But conflict is just a matter of two people perspectives not aligning, right? So it's can be it's a lack of communication or a lack of information. Um, if we have a conflict, our perspective are on two different lines,
Mhm.
and we have to get on the same line to resolve it, or to solve that problem. I think
Mhm.
a lot of people do not like to explain themselves and give that
Mhm.
person what they need, so the conflict always occurs. To
Mm.
get that ease of mind.
Okay. Yeah. Like how do you see these conflicts and how they actually impact these relationships that we try to attain or we try to cultivate or we try to even mold in general? How does that conflict actually impact those relationships?
And I go on, are you gonna
You go ahead, ladies always first.
go? Okay. I think how it impacts the situation is based on the level of importance of that situation. Like
Hmm.
if it's a relationship, I've seen people who want to be in a relationship, they learn how to resolve the conflict. Versus if it's a friendship, like I just had a topic not too long ago about why women are more prone to take back a man than their friend because it's the
Mm.
level of importance of that relationship. Like I can work through a resolution with my man because of how I view having a man versus working through a resolution with my friends because of how I view friendship. So I think like
Mm.
Hmm,
the impact to the relationship is strictly based on how much you value it. If you value a relationship enough, then don't matter what the conflict is, you're gonna figure out how to work through it.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
that's that's an interesting statement right there, boy. That's God, Jesus. That's like say, again, I could see from, I guess, from men perspective, we kind of sometimes value our friendship means more to us than relationship. So that's an interesting statement if it's applied both sides. Um, but I think conflict is good. Conflict either builds or destroys. It's like as no, if you and a person truly have a true foundation, a true relationship, you can disagree, argue about it, and come to a resolution, which will make your relationship strong because now both of you guys have an understanding of what it means and what you guys looking for and what is your definition.
Mm-hmm.
I remember last weekend I went out with a friend of mine and we were at a table. I made a comment, and she's just upset about it. She was getting all upset, like, "Oh, that's not how you're not supposed to talk like that at the table." And she's trying to tell me, and I'm like, and after that, we had to talk about it. And I had to tell her, "You can't do that." So we had to come to a
Right.
resolution of understanding, like, okay, I see your line, I see your standards and what you required from your friends and people you're out in public with, and I want you to understand my standard, what I
Mm-hmm.
require from my friends, on how I want to be talked to. So
Right.
that's what this conflict does. It helps you resolve it. And if you can't resolve it, then it breaks it because it's going to show you if this person is truly listening to you, if this person is truly trying to learn you, or if they're just here to tell you to get what they want, if they're just a taker.
Right. 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 Absolutely, man. I wholeheartedly agree with that. That conflict can build or break. Matter of fact, literally conversation. Just look, whatever it is, I don't care if you're upset or not, you should still be able to have a conversation. You should still be able to have a conversation. It may hurt my feelings, it may hurt your feelings, but we should be able to still communicate through, you know what I'm saying, to get to a resolution. So yeah, that's yeah, that's heavy right there, but it's real. So now when it comes to the role of empathy, grace, and understanding in conflict resolution, how do you manage that? How do you balance, I mean, you being upset versus like, do I give grace or empathy in this moment? How do you go about doing that for yourself?
For me, I make weighted decisions. So
Mhm.
if I'm upset with you, I can't talk to you. I got to talk to somebody who has nothing to do with the situation whatsoever first. Because if I talk to you first, my brain doesn't have a space where I can, like, in between it. I said this, I think, in here before. I don't have an in between space. I'm either up or down. That's it. It's
Mhm.
either
Yeah,
one
yeah,
or the
yeah,
other.
yeah.
Ain't no in between. So because I know that about myself, once I've reached a spot with someone where I'm upset with them, you're the very last person I want to talk to. And I will tell you,
Right.
like, listen, I'm upset, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do something else. And I will talk to you
Hmm.
when I'm ready to talk to you. And that is the only way I can properly handle conflict with somebody that I care about. Because if I don't talk, if I don't take that breathing time to remember who you are and not what the situation is, I'll end up
Yeah.
ruining a good situation.
Okay.
For me, it's about perspective. I like to, similar to her, I talk when I talk to other people, I talk for perspective. I like to explain the situation so I can see where maybe I was wrong and the person's valid and I'm invalid, while yet where I am valid and they're invalid in the situation.
Right.
Um, I think there is never someone who's completely at fault for anything. If something happens, we both contributed to it occurring. That person felt triggered by something that I did that made them respond the way I did responded that made me feel triggered. So if you go down the line, it's like we both played a part, whether it's 90
Hmm.
10 or 50-50, we both play a role in it and to make this occur. The question becomes for me is the role that we play, is it really worth like losing everything we've built? So if I'm talking to somebody and there's somebody who I really care about in the situation, looking back at the situation, I see where I'm wrong at.
Hmm.
I may not be completely wrong, but the person's willing to say they're wrong. Okay, I'm gonna give the grace, and we're just gonna move forward. I don't even need you to apologize for what you did. If you can say, you know what, I see what I did wrong. Cool, we good.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if it's empathy, might be that person felt a certain way about something, and because I could see how why what I did made him upset, I can say, okay, you know what, my bad, move on. and resolve it that way, or find out what about it make them upset about it and move on. I don't. You don't have to resolve a conflict with right or wrong, or with
Mm,
you are correct and that person's incorrect. Sometimes it's just is the emotion worth if they is the emotional gain worth it?
right.
Is what you're gonna do for that person worth it? And is it not gonna destroy from what you stand for? And if it's not gonna destroy from it, then okay, do it. If it is, then don't. Figure something else out.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, we want to take this opportunity, man, to welcome everybody again to Family Ties, where we're here having a discussion on conflict resolution, man. Um, two dope individuals here, man, that can very well communicate with each other and against each other. It's amazing. Y'all got to watch this very close. But yeah, so definitely, man. Speaking of like in part of that question we spoke about empathy, man, having like empathy for people, you know what I mean, in the midst of like whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is that you're dealing with. Because sometimes when we communicate with each other, there are outside influences of us communicating with each other, you know what I'm saying, that's actually impacting the conversation we're trying to have. How do you gauge how much empathy you need to possess while dealing with somebody that may seem like they not really here in this conversation? How do you gauge how much empathy you need to have?
My gauge is really based off of how I feel. Like as much as I want to like have some really super smart response, it's my feelings. If I feel strong enough about a situation, we're going to talk about it. We're going to fix it, whether the other person is kind of willing or not, because of how strongly I feel about something. Now, in the reverse,
Okay.
if I don't feel as though my emotional investment is worth it, I probably won't resolve the issue. Like, there are people who I value more than I value winning. So,
Mm,
with that in mind, I don't mind losing the situation to keep you.
mm,
But there are
I hear
some
that.
people who the situation itself is more important than the person. Like once you really, I overall look at it, it's like, yeah, besides this one thing, what else do they really bring to my life? Nothing. Oh, okay. Well, ain't no point in fixing this. So,
damn,
and I'm gonna move right on to the next thing.
damn, wow. Um, shit. I personally, for me, I don't know if I actually have a gauge of how much sympathy or empathy I give.
Hmm.
I think it's much more how much they need.
Mm,
Um, I remember I had talked to a principal, and with this when I was doing one job and I was leading. And I asked the principal. He's been a principal for years. Number two high school in the state. Great leader. So I asked the guy. I said, how do you lead to need and not to, not just to be fair? And he just said,
mm,
I try to meet them where they are. And I
Mm.
try to, and I think in conflict resolution, it's the same thing. Sometimes you got to meet people where they are. Um, you know, if I'm talking to you and you show me that, hey, that something really bothered you and emotionally disturbed you, okay, now I need to go ahead and I'll meet you with empathy and sympathy, whether you are right or wrong. But if I'm
right,
talking to
right.
you and you are showing me you don't give a fuck, you don't care
Yeah.
whatsoever, it's just hey, whatever, then I'm gonna meet you what it is. There's none. So it's kind of like
Mm,
gauging that based upon the person.
mm. Okay. Okay. I hear that. Like, I personally believe that everybody deserves a measure of empathy. You know what I mean? Especially in the midst of conversation when you're trying to communicate, you know, you need to have some kind of empathy for whatever situation. Because in order to effectively communicate, I believe you need to be able to read body language. You know what I'm saying? Not just using your words, but using your eyes. You know what I mean? And so I believe that's where a lot of conflict comes from because we don't use all of our capacities like we should while we're trying to effectively get our point across. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
the body language can tell you right off top, like, look, they're not even here. They're checked out. You know what I'm saying? So what's the use in me continuing to try to use my words when the eyes are showing me that they're not even here listening. You know what I mean? So that's another
I
point.
agree with you, man. A lot of communication. 90% of communication is nonverbal. So
Hmm.
a lot of things we take in from people, it's not the words itself, but it's the way they say the words, the way they're looking. One thing I was taught, if you watch your feet, where they're turned, it can tell you a lot about where their interest really lies. If somebody's laughing in a group and they're laughing to turn to somebody, every time they laugh, they turn to a certain person. That's their way of trying to get that person confirmation. See if that person's actually is interested in it as well. They look
Right,
at that person, hi, they laugh, then they laugh. It's like it's a lot of little things that people do to really give clues to what's important and who's important and stuff like that in doing communication.
right, right. So I'm gonna ask y'all too, man. Has there ever been a time where where you chose not to resolve a conflict, where you had to like go back and second guess that?
Yes.
Would you care to elaborate
Elaborations.
on that?
Um, yes. Somebody did the thing that I don't like. Um, so specifically, I told a person that I was mad at them and I didn't want to talk to them, and that I would call them when I was ready to talk. And they were like, "No, we're gonna talk about it right now." Why they decided
Mm,
that, I don't know. But yeah, it didn't really go well. That's all I'm gonna say. It didn't go well. Conversation did not go very well. At that
hmm.
moment, we decided we weren't gonna be friends anymore. Everything was over. It was F them, all of that. And then they got their top badge. The person got their top
Mm.
badge, and they had a gunny battle. And I was still mad. I was mad all the way up until I went to the gunny battle, and I thought they were gonna lose. And when I thought they were gonna lose, I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't care how mad we is at each other. Ain't nobody beating her. I don't care." No, they got me
Right,
messed up. And shot in the battle. She called me crying. She's like, I'm sorry. Ooh, and I'm like, I'm sorry. It was
right,
a it was a value thing. I value
right,
that person way more than I value the situation.
right, right.
So at that moment of them needing me, or what I felt like they needed me, the value kicked back in. Like, this is still that person. Even though they made me mad, even though I was upset, all of that. It's still that person. Like, and I gotta look out because that's who we is to each other.
Mm.
And
Great.
it was a new thing for me. Because
Yeah.
I'm a bridge burner. Once the bridge is burnt, don't you can't walk over here. We don't got no new supplies. Ain't no wood over here. Ain't no hammers, no nails, nothing. No
Not
more
nothing.
bridges.
That's a wrap. What
But
about
I'm
you,
happy I did
shit?
it.
That's good.
Um,
What about you?
so I think it was a situation happened last time. I think I had talked it over with Nikki and previously, but I had a guy who worked for me, and some shit happened. He tried to snitch on me, and I had helped the guy basically elevate to a higher position from where he started at, and then he tried to snitch on me. So, I went to him, told him, like, bro, I feel like you was like, I understand what you did. Was it the right thing? Probably. They got to give me a heads up as friends, let me know something. And I just felt like,
Hmm.
that was a little bit untrustworthy. And basically, it turned into a situation where, like, fuck your feelings, whatnot, and not. I said, okay. So I said, all right, I just stopped fucking with him. There was no need to resolve a solution, the conflict.
Hmm.
To this day, I don't fuck with a nigga. I don't. If I see him, I won't. We good. Like,
Yeah. 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 It be situations like that sometimes, man, that um in the moment. And that's kind of leading me into my next question anyway. Um when we talk about these situations and everything that take place, how how important is it for us to try to take our feelings out of the equation to get to the resolution? How important is that to you?
I don't think it's important at all. A lot of my decisions are based off of how I feel. So when I think about value, value to me is based off of how I feel. So
Mm-hmm.
if I remove my emotions, someone who may be taking advantage of me that I can feel emotionally may be able to continue to take advantage of me. So I have to
Okay.
use my emotions as the gauge of whether or not this is a valuable relationship. Just like Shin, I had somebody that I had a conflict with who I decided not to resolve the conflict. Specifically because when I gauged our relationship, there was no equal value. I did all the giving and they did all the taking. And when I realized that I couldn't take no more giving, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing else for us to resolve. Like that's the end of it. And I have to use my feelings to realize when somebody may be trying to get take advantage of me or get over on me, or I may just feel like we're not equally yoked. Without
Mm-hmm.
emotion, you can't really gauge that. Like sure, physically you could, but even with that, if you don't use your emotions, somebody might can't do as much for you physically, but they do invest in you emotionally regularly. Like I don't have as much money as my man, right? So I can't pay
Mm-hmm.
for trips. I can't pay for haircuts. I can't do none of that. But every day I support him. I'll make him a drink when he come in the house. I rub his back. I fix his clothes. I rub his feet. I listen to his problems. My emotional investment is there. But if he was to just use what I can bring to the table empty. So
Right.
I
Right.
have to use my emotions. People have to use their emotions in order to make the best decision when dealing with people, I think.
So I would say you don't want to ignore your emotions, but you don't want to make decisions while in an emotional state because your emotions are biased. Um, they're biased because this is how that person, that situation, that impact your perspective made you feel about it. And from your perspective, it's a very biased thing. Can you really step out of your bias and see the whole situation completely?
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason why I even talked to Nikki in that situation was to see if I was being, if my bias was completely wrong. The reason why we did not resolve the situation was because when I brought it to him how I felt about it, the guy told me, said, "Well, those are your feelings, and I don't give a fuck." So basically, when you tell me to fuck your feelings, well, nigga, fuck you too. Then, pardon my French. I'm sorry. But it's my natural part of me. But at the end of the day, it's like if you make a decision with, I try to get out of my feelings to make decisions. I try to keep
Mm-hmm.
get my mind in a situation where I have vetted my feelings and make sure and make sure that the terms and the decision and the choice that I'm making are try as sound as possible while in
Mm-hmm.
retrospect to my feelings. I don't make it while in an emotional state. I'll always make the wrong decision then.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's really like kind of like the reason why I asked that question is because sometimes as human beings, we're not even emotionally stable. You know what I'm saying? And then so if we're not emotionally stable and we're making those type of decisions, you know what I'm saying, while we're emotionally unstable, and then we're not mentally stable at the same time. You know what I mean? And so it's I feel like it's important for us to kind of check our feelings. You know what I mean? Like I ain't saying don't use them, but kind of check them just to make sure that we're on a, what I mean, we're thinking on a steady level. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, definitely. This is Family Ties, y'all. Appreciate y'all for pulling up, and we're having this discussion, this great discussion about conflict resolution.
Well,
Um,
I think this is one of those things where when it comes to emotion, it's just a man
mhm.
and woman difference.
um, Yeah, well, and that's again, that's a part of a conflict. You know what I'm saying? It's a part of a conflict because if you have women that feel and use emotions a lot, you know what I'm saying, versus men who maybe don't, you know what I'm saying? But in this day and era, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I really see a lot more men using their emotions than what they used to, you know what I'm saying? So I can agree with both sides. I can really agree with both sides. Um, my next question, I wanted to tap in with you both about, um, as far as like with the whole. resolution part. We done talked about the conflict. But as far as like the resolution itself, have you have you ever been in a situation where you thought one thing was the resolution while the other party thought something else was a resolution and it created another conflict? If you
Yeah.
did, can you elaborate?
Yes.
And
It
how
was
did
in
you handle
dating.
that?
It was in a relationship, and I'm very much a talker, and the person I was dating was very much not a talker. So their answer to everything was sex or money. So either
Mm,
we were gonna have sex and you're gonna change your mind, or I'm gonna buy you something and you're gonna change your mind. But either way, we're not gonna have a conflict no more. And I can't be bought, and my emotions don't flow through my vagina. So we would always have another issue by him trying to, oh, I'm gonna buy you something. I'm gonna buy you a necklace today because I made you mad yesterday. So today, while you at work, I'm gonna go buy you something. I'm not gonna apologize. I'm not even gonna acknowledge the thing that you said that you had a problem with, but I'm gonna buy you something.
mm-hmm,
And he bought me a necklace, and the necklace said, "I love you to the moon and back." And I said, "You love me so much that you won't talk to me." That's interesting. Which caused a whole nother argument. What you trying to say? I don't love you because I don't want to. I don't. I think it's stupid. I don't understand why you always want to argue about everything. You can't just never be happy about nothing. I'm
mm-hmm.
happy about talking. Maybe if we could talk about it, I would be happy. And yeah, it was a whole nother argument. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was interesting to explain to somebody who has never talked about things how important it is to have conversation, because he grew up in a household where they didn't talk about stuff. He followed his daddy's blueprint. His dad would cheat, lie, leave the house, whatever. He'd come back, he'd buy something or put some food in the house or whatever the case may be, and everything was good again. So all he knew was that, like, as long as I had money and I'm spending money on you, you should be fine, because that's what he was used to. I come from a household where we discuss everything. So our
Mm-hmm.
viewpoint on how conflicts were supposed to be handled was completely different. He was loving me in his way and I was loving him in mine. And it would sometimes conflict with one another, and we had to like find a happy medium. Cause I like stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love getting stuff. But when I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mad at you. You
Right,
can buy me
right,
stuff
right,
when I'm not mad at you.
right, exactly. All right, Shan.
I've been sitting here thinking, trying to figure out a time, and there's a bunch. I mean, where we feel like we have a solution to something, and then yeah, I mean, I think of you know, with being married, this it probably happens a lot more than we will admit. But that was much
Mm,
more about maybe time or the idea of how we think it was going to get done.
mm,
Um, she it might be okay. You're gonna cook. Okay, we're gonna cook. And we might say we're gonna cook tacos. She may have heard soft shell, and I may have been thinking hard shell. But it always comes back to communication. We haven't really we resolved it, or I haven't resolved. We haven't communicated how we're gonna do it. You know,
right, right,
a lot of times we assume that a person understands exactly what we mean when we say something.
right.
So I know I've experienced it, and I definitely would say that that experience for me forces me to step back and think about, okay, it's annoying because you get mad, like, bro, I thought we had this figured out. I thought we was already done. I thought this is already figured out. It's already over. And it's like we're arguing about something else, and now being around you, we're always arguing becomes unpleasant, unpleasant. And so now it's
Mm-hmm.
like, man, we can never get to a resolution. But the question really becomes, is it really worth that winning? If you both had a resolution already, but you had different perspective, is it really worth saying, well, you're doing it wrong, rather than just saying, hey, I thought we were doing it this way, and let the person explain what their perspective is? But I don't know. I don't know.
I think there's a
Yeah.
wrong and a right way to resolve something. The wrong way is the way that leads to another, and the right way is the way that leads to something that you can fix. So when there's about like it depends on the one. and you're the one that made me upset, you can't tell me that your way to resolve the conflict is the proper way because I might still be upset. If I'm the one that's upset and you're the one that made me upset and I tell you this is the way that I want the issue resolved, that is kind of the proper
Hmm.
way to resolve it because I'm the one that has the upsetness that needs to be fixed.
See, that's where I actually disagree with you on that. I think we have to kind of agree on how we're going to solve it. Even if I'm the one who made you upset and you're the one who's upset, there has to be okay, this how we are going to solve it, not you telling me this how I want to solve, and I'm just following your path because that's not. I may have done it the way I thought it needed to be done. Now it's like, no, do it this way. If I do it this way, and you get pissed, you get mad
Hmm.
because next time it doesn't fit the way you want it. Now I'm going to be annoyed
Right.
But why are you thinking
Right.
about
That's
next
true.
time when I'm talking about what I need right now? Like
because it's
next
going to
time might
change
be
next
something
time.
different,
It's not fixed
huh?
because it's going to change next time.
Right, because next
So
time it might be a
that's
different
the
issue. So of
experience.
course my resolve for the next issue gonna be something different. I would
Now,
hope that once we resolve the issue, we don't have the same issue again. That means we didn't resolve it in the first place.
no, you're gonna have the thing is you can resolve an issue, but issues isolated, and you may have that exact same issue again in a different form.
But again, if
It
we've
will be in
already
a different
resolved the
form.
issue, if we have that issue again, I can go back to the resolution that we already came up with because we resolved it. So again,
Now,
if it's actually resolved, there wouldn't be any going back. It can't happen again, no matter how it happens, because we've already fixed it.
so let me give a good example here. Let me give an example.
Mhm.
Let's say I'm in your car, and in your car, while we're in your car, you say, I like the AC on 72. I said, okay, cool, all right. Now we're in my car.
Mhm.
You in the side. I don't care what the AC's on. You say I'm gonna put on 72. It's the same conflict, the AC unit. There's a conflict there. That's what we're arguing about. What temperature we keep the AC on. In your car, 72. In my car, I could say, you know what? Today is 72. Tomorrow I want it on 82. Well, I like it on 72 when I'm in the car driving. It's the same conflict.
I mean, it's kind of not though, because if I have a set thing and you don't care and you make a thing just to have a thing, it's not the same thing as that's not a conflict.
So
That sounds like that doesn't sound like a conflict. When I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about as far as say we're in the middle of an argument. I don't want to go
Hmm.
somewhere and you want to go there, and I've already told you I don't want to go, right?
mhm.
And you like we're going, and I said I don't want to go. The way that we resolve that is a matter of whose perspective. If I'm the one that doesn't want to go and you're the one that does want to go, who's more slighted in this situation? Me or you?
So the question really becomes much more than that because the conflict is not do you want to go or not do you not want to go and I want to go. The conflict is why I want to go and why you want to go, or even better yet, why I want you to go with me.
Okay,
That's where the
let's
conflict is.
go into that. Let's make that the problem. Why you want me? Why do I
Right.
have to go with you everywhere you go?
I want you to be around my friends. I want to show you my world.
But I don't want to be around your friends.
So
I
you
like to
don't
sit in the
so you
house.
don't you don't want to be in my world.
I mean, we have our
Right.
own world in the house. Why do I have to be out part of your outside world? I want to be
You
a
don't want to
part
be
of the
part of
inside world.
my world, my personal world, my friends, my family,
Yeah.
those world I want to show you off to.
But I don't want to. You got pictures of me in your phone. We do stuff. You could show them pictures of me when you
So
go
why do
places.
you
I don't
not
want
want
to
to be
go.
part of my world outside these doors?
Why do I have to want to be a part of that? Why
Why
can't
do
we have our own
you
world in
you're
here?
not answering the question? I asked the question.
I asked the question too.
Why do you not want to be part of my world outside these doors?
It's not that I don't want to be part of your world outside of the doors. I let you take pictures of me. I'm going outside with you every day. You take your phone. I just don't want to go nowhere. I
So
don't
you
like
want
going
me
places. I'm a
you want me
homebody.
to you think an image
And
of you is
so,
you being part of my world?
Yes, because they know I exist. Every time they come to
Mhm.
your they when they go on your phone, they see me laying in the bed in my shorts and see me laying in the bed in your shirt. They see me laying around the house making you food. They see your place you post on your Instagram.
So,
Everybody knows I exist. Why do
they
I need
know
to come
you
outside?
exist, but they don't know you.
They know you and they know you got good taste. That's all we need to know.
Wow. So you don't want to experience my friends and my family because you want to stay home.
Okay, we're this is the
No, no,
back
no,
and
no.
forth.
We're getting to the
No,
compromise.
this is
Right, we
this
gotta
is
wait,
this
wait,
is the
wait. That's not how
this is
it
the
works.
this
Let's,
is the
Nikki, you gotta
role
give us.
played.
You gotta let
Let
us
it
get
roll.
there.
Let it
Let us
roll.
get there.
Let it roll.
My
let's.
issue with this is it's all about what you want. I've already said why, and I said it a few times, but you keep hearing what you want to hear. I'm a homebody. I like to be inside. It's not about you and your issues and your people and anything that has anything to do with you. It's about me, and I don't want to go outside. And not just with you, I don't want to go outside with anyone.
All right. Well. For I understand that. I understand you don't want to go outside. I understand you prefer to be inside. I prefer to have. I prefer a woman to show her off to my family, to have her out there with me and being around my family and friends. I prefer that. That helps me feel like I have somebody who's building relationships, not just with me, but the people who are important to me as well. Those people get to know you. You get to know them. You learn more about me through them because they're going to tell you stories about things that I've done, and you get to understand perspective.
Okay, so how about this? I'm really not comfortable with going outside, especially like with friends. But
Mhm.
maybe I'll meet your family. We can start there. And if
Oh,
that goes well, I'll try something else, okay?
okay, that's fair.
Okay.
And
So,
Eh.
ladies and gentlemen of family ties, listen. Y'all probably sitting here looking like, yo, why is Wick not saying nothing? Because this is exactly how it happened last week. This is exactly how it happened last week. Like a scenario came up and they built their way to a resolution, right? Which this was a perfect example. Nikki, I apologize. I didn't let you know. Okay. but, but this is a perfect example. Like honestly, whenever you're in a situation, you know what I'm saying? How do you get to that place where you can start to compromise to get to a resolution of the issues that you have, right? So, uh, good question. Nice. Is arguing healthy? Some arguments, I believe, some arguments are healthy. They can be healthy, as long as you don't cross certain barriers and certain lines. You know what I mean? So you got to stay respectful. You got to stay respectful, and you cannot allow yourself to go too far left, go too below the belt, and all that good stuff like that. What do you guys have to say about that? About arguments being healthy.
I think arguments are healthy specifically because it gives you the perspective of your person when they're not trying to please you. And that matters a lot more than who they are when they're trying to make you happy.
Hmm.
Like, I feel like if we can resolve the argument or the issue, then we're stronger than anything else because at least we know if something were to happen, we can work it out. Versus if we only ever are sunshine and rainbows, if we ever have an argument, things might blow up and it might be the end of everything because all we ever have is sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
And
Right.
I
that
also don't want anybody stifling their perspective to make me happy. I have a very controversial way of looking at the world and at things. With that in mind, I don't ever want someone to just concede to everything that I have to say because then I'll never grow. Like me as a person, I feel like I grow every time I communicate with somebody who thinks differently than me. It may seem
Hmm.
like we arguing or we going back and forth. I'm just trying to get as much of your perspective as I possibly can to see how we can communicate with one another. I did it with Sheen when we were here the last time. I need to
Right.
know exactly how much where you coming from and how you coming from there, so that when I communicate what I really want to make a point to you, it makes complete sense because now I
Right.
know where you're how to communicate with you. But if we never have any type of conflict at all, and I just say, yep, yep, you're right, yep,
man sound like a
that's
perfect woman right there.
it. You want a
Just
yes
kidding.
man? Because
I'm
I
just
know how
kidding.
much they cost.
I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
Yeah, that's good. What about you, Shan? What do you think about
So
far as arguments being healthy or not?
it's gonna sound crazy. Argument. I'm. You guys going? People are gonna sound being semantic, but it's semantic. I'm playing semantics,
Here
but
come the semantics. Let me get my juice.
um, so connotatively, when we say arguing, we think of yelling at each other, speaking in a very disrespectful tone, and really just kind of yelling at each other, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
the connotative definition of it. While for me, in my opinion, arguments was just to present a divergent point of view, to present a point of view that's different from what's already been presented. That's what argument
Mm-hmm.
is. Having an argument, making arguments is completely healthy, but as a part of discussion and communication. Arguing is unhealthy in the connotative definition, where all we simply do is yelling at you and just yelling, but I'm not listening back in return to understand your point and actually respond to your point. So a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
argue and they say that they're making arguments, but they're not really. To me, when you start arguing in a way we do it in modern times, we are
Mm-hmm.
no longer actually communicating. We're just talking to each other, and
Okay.
that's my stance.
Well, I think we just had an argument and we didn't yell at each other. We didn't disrespect one another. But we had an argument. I think an argument or arguing is simply expressing disagreements actively. Like we're actively expressing our disagreement with one another.
We
And how
presented.
that happens could be different depending on the person, but the baseline of it is still the same.
I mean, we
Like,
presented
Yeah.
we presented arguments towards each other, but like I said, it's also it's semantic because there's two definitions. There's denotative and there's
mhm,
connotative. The
right.
connotative definition is the one that I disagree with. I think it's unhealthy. But a denotative definition is just is presenting different
Opposing
point of
viewpoints. Yeah.
views. Yeah,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
I think another part of it is a lot of people don't really know what they're arguing. They just know what happened, but they don't really talk to the emotional disturbance and or don't know how to express the emotional disturbance to really talk about what's bothering them.
Okay.
So like even that situation, you to me trying to get you to go out, you felt forced to do something out of your comfort zone. And I have to step back and actually speak to what is actually really bothering us.
Mhm. And I get
All
that.
right, guys.
But,
So we're getting closer to the end of the
oh,
hour though. So I gotta get this get these
my
last
bad,
couple
me.
pieces in. But
Sorry.
have you guys ever like sat down and really thought about strategies for resolving conflicts peacefully versus the you know toxic, unhealthy way of doing it?
As a woman who dates specifically and only black men, absolutely. We've been out here all day. I have not. I just woke up and I'm doing a show. Give me 1 second, okay? Hold on. 1 minute. I got like 5 minutes. You know there was dinner. I appreciate that. I love you for making me dinner. You're so beautiful. I love you so much. Sorry.
That was a conflict resolution right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
there
gotta
you go.
sometimes you gotta reinforce how somebody feels, you know?
Hmm.
Um, but to me, I think it is I had my thoughts lined up and then that happened. Ask me the question again so I can get my thoughts back in line. I'm so sorry, you guys.
All right. Basically, the question was, have you had time to sit down and like actually think of strategies for resolving conflicts peacefully?
Yes. As a woman who only specifically dates black men and is only interested in dating black men, conflict resolution and the proper way to do so is very important in my life because a lot of the men that I found myself dating have never had anybody respect them as a person. Not even value them as a man, but respect them as a person enough to hear where they're coming from. So because of that, I have to think about not winning the situation, but winning over the person. Because once I win over the person, I'm gonna win all the situations because they're gonna value me enough to be like, well, I let her have it. So I have to sometimes think about which things are worth sacrificing to for the overall goal of this person's happiness. Because
Right.
we're going to have arguments, absolutely. But I need
Hmm.
them to view me the same way I view people, where keeping me is more important than winning an argument. Even if it means that we got to agree to disagree by the end, I want them to feel valued enough to know, even if I don't win the argument, I got the person, so that's okay.
Cool.
So,
Cool.
as I've gotten older, I've been forced to learn that other people have emotions and they have perspective, and the way they see things doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, even if it's different from the way I see it. It just means that that
Mm-hmm.
person is that's their perspective, that's their reality, and I have to be able to succumb myself to that perspective and their reality and try my best to explain myself more. I don't mind explaining myself. Was one thing I've kind of like got to. I will give you all the reasons and all the answers to any question you ask. Um, and I think that's really helped because I think a lot of people do not like to explain themselves and give actual insight into their thoughts, their process, their intentions, their reasons, and everything. As they say, you know what I did is whatever you felt that way. That's on you. So I find it to be much more needed, especially as you get older. People have their own ways they're stuck in. They have their own reasons why they do what they do, and sometimes those things it's not even personal. It's not even about you.
Mm-hmm.
They better be doing something that has nothing to do with you at all, but because you as an individual feel some type of way, you personalize it. You think it's you that they're doing it to. No, it's just what I do. You just happen to be the person I'm doing it with.
Mm.
Mm.
It's not and that's it. So, but explain yourself, man. That's something I can say. Really, just explain yourself. Be
Yeah.
willing to
Yeah.
tell.
Yeah. Yo, we are like literally down to like the last 9 minutes of the show. I wanted to thank y'all, both y'all, again, man, for just being y'all. You know what I mean, and being authentic. You know, and it's like I said, if y'all missed the conversation after the show last week, y'all didn't really because you just got it again. All right. And it's amazing though, man, to see like actual working, you know what I mean, people working to do what needs to be done for the greater good rather than being so being opinionated and so self-absorbed that we can't come to a resolution, you know what I mean, in any type of conflict, right? Um I want y'all to take the time real quick and let people know where they can find y'all at, all that other good stuff. And I think I'm gonna make it appropriate and just end this week's show the way we ended the conversation last week. Y'all already know what I'm talking about. But go ahead and let people know where they can find you at.
um, my name is Princess. If you just now meet me, I am in a bunch of things. I'm a mentor in Top Bad Strawberry Red's mentorship program here on the Tag App. I do a debate style podcast on Sundays at 1 p.m. where we talk about controversial topics in the debate style format. I also have a mentee that is having an event this coming week. It is a showtime at the Prin Palo. If you know anybody who's talented, they sing, they dance, they rap, they act, whatever it is they do. If you know somebody who's talented, please send them my way so we can get them signed up for the showcase. The number one performer is getting a carpet from the hostess. It's a 4K entry, but again, it's to win a carpet and it's to showcase your talent on a major platform. So if y'all know anybody that has like skills, please send them my way.
Well, you guys know me, man. I'm everywhere but nowhere at the same time. I'm here but not here. I would pretty much you catch me mostly, in these streets. Most I be in Empower Her on Mondays at 11. Then we also go in there a lot. That's where you probably catch me the most. Then you have learning Zulu with Gugu on Tuesdays. I'll be in there. Then I'll be back here with Wick again. Then Wednesdays, we be over there learning about the Carter, the country Carter. It's killing me, man. Don't say too much.
Oh, I love that album.
My God, it's nah, but it's a great time. And then I'll be back here every Sundays, man. You catch me here every Sundays with Wick, enjoying family ties, man. So It's been an amazing, amazing time.
All
I'm
right, all
sorry. As soon
right.
as he brought up the album, my mind has just started singing Levi jeans. I can fit in my Levi jeans so I can hug that all night long.
Look, somebody into it. So yeah, y'all. Look, so last week, right?
I'm
We ended
saving
the
you listeners.
conversation afterwards, um, with this poem, right? And the poem says, "Who's more important?" I wake up thanking God for another chance. After I'm done praying, I begin to dance, searching for answers. Why and how did I get here? In this place where it makes me face my truest of fears. Number one on my list is for something to go wrong and I die alone. And it's on me because I always had to make you be wrong. Now there will be times when I laugh, enjoy life, and seem to be on my way. But in all of that, nothing ever will compare to that day. It's not about when we first laid together, although it did feel like we made it to heaven. You made my world slow down just for a glance at you. It was in these moments that I knew what I had to do. Love her, to keep her, is what my heart said. But because of my past experiences, my mind said love is dead. And so the war began. Again, do she truly love me or not? I decided that you did and gave this a shot. We lived life as families do, encountered bumps of life that made us blue. But we got through them together, which made us stronger, and we felt we'd be together forever. But when me became more important than we, I couldn't see that we was being chipped away like an art piece that had never came to its full beauty. So now it is destroyed because of the areas are too damaged. But what if instead of destroying this beautiful work of art, we build on the beauty that is already in place? We can apply clay to the damaged areas, allow them time to dry and to harden. Then, with a different perspective, now having learned from our past, together, we gently chip away at the areas that we view as imperfect. Yes, I can get upset, and I have a right to do so. It's a part of my individuality, but also it makes me grow. So, in all this, there's really only one question to ask: who's more important, me or we?
Mm, I still like that
So,
poem.
It's all about how
so
Princess
yeah,
feels. It's all about how Princess feels. If she feels like we's more important than me, or me's more important than we, you know.
yeah.
It is.
So yeah, man, that's really like when we start talking about conflict resolution in particular, though. That's the thing we got to remember. Like the we has got to be more important than just me, you know. So and as long as we're, operating and we're moving, towards being better, we've got to take the whole entire picture. The whole team has got to be the importance. You know what I mean? Instead of just my perspective or your perspective, because it's our perspective that's going to launch us into the next, dimension. All right,
All right.
man. Look,
Agree.
I I've enjoyed you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please, y'all come back because we gonna have y'all come back for some more stuff, man. For real, we gonna have y'all come back for some more stuff, and uh, I'm gonna make the announcement now. This Thursday, man, I'm having my birthday celebration right here on the app. Y'all,
Hey.
y'all be right here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know we right back here again next week for Family Ties. Friday night is karaoke. Next week, though, man, we got two phenomenal guests, man, and it is gonna be on and popping up in this thing. We're talking about relationship dynamics and gender roles next week.
Ooh.
And we got our guests lined up as a top badge anointed vessel and top badge Jamila Joy. So they'll be here
Ooh.
next week with us, man. Y'all pull up on us, man. We're gonna have a great conversation. I know this is gonna be really, really good. So and
Gender
again,
roles
I
with a
appreciate
married couple is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
So
snatching
you know,
that.
yeah.
I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here bright and early. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in here at 9:30, you know why I came. Okay, I got to see this. Got to see this go through hell.
Yeah, it's
You
finna
know
go
me.
down. Yeah, for sure.
I
But
was trying to
again,
smoke
y'all,
off camera. That's why I'm turning sideways. Is it
and
okay now?
and, and I appreciate you because guess what? It is now that 11 o'clock hour. Y'all go ahead and do your thing.
It's all good.